G'day, welcome back to another video. It feels like it's been a very long time since I've released a video, so I've been pretty busy with work and everything like that. In this video, we're going to be doing the Kaon rear window MOLLE panels. So for those that remember or have been following me, I like to pester Kaon for things for the Jimny. Started with the rear table, which you can see here as well. Awesome bit of gear. When I was still living in Brisbane and they didn't have anything for the Jimny, I used to message them once a week and say, where is it, hurry them up. Finally, they bring out a heap of Jimny products now. So we've done the rooftop shelf, the rear door table, the MOLLE panels. So the reason that it's taken me so long to get the MOLLE panels is that I've actually got the gull wing windows. So I wasn't sure if there would be enough clearance to fit the MOLLE panels. So this probably goes without saying, but if you don't have gull wing windows, you are going to have no issues fitting these whatsoever. The instructions they give you, straightforward, the installation is straightforward and all the hardware is there for it. The only complication for me is those gull wings. So the way they work is they have a latch that kind of sits over the window frame and it needs to move like that. So when this is, where does it go? This way? When it's sitting there, the latch is basically sitting here and it needs to pivot there and it's hitting on that piece there. So I know that that one's going to need to come out, and there's also the gas strut which is hitting on this side here. So how much of it I need to take out, I don't know. What I might end up doing is doing a bit of a custom fit and printing some 3D printed spaces that mean that it actually sits off the window. So instead of sitting on an angle like that right flush up against the window, it sits out a bit using some 3D printed spaces. So Kaon actually give you two options when it comes to mounting. You can either use these 3M adhesive automotive grade strips on the back, or they actually provide nutserts as well. So you can use the slotted holes on the back if you know you're going to be carrying a lot of weight. So the main thing here is going to be just correctly getting the orientation of these two, because like I said, I'm going to worry about the bottom, these three, a bit later. So I just want to get this on first, and it kind of holds it in place and it'll show us how much modification is required. So I've got it lined up on these three here. It's kind of holding in place. Now I think one of the issues I'm going to face is that the angle of this panel is not sitting back as it should. So what that's going to cause is the amount of contact between the adhesive and the window frame isn't going to be ideal. So I will have to riv nut it, but for now just going to hold it on, and it seems to be holding itself. So that'll just give me enough time to basically just get the measurements that I need for these spaces. I think it's easier if I come and talk through here. So in order to make sure that I've got the correct angle for this bracket, I've taken the gull wing off, and it just gives the adhesive a bit of time to set. So it's on there firm now. And so you can see that we've got these, this is the factory cargo barrier, which is actually very rare. So I doubt most people are going to run into this issue either. But what I want to do is, because I've got these gull wings, I don't want it to be flush up against here. If you've got a glass window here, it doesn't, obviously the closer you can get it, the better. But I would also like a little bit of space between the gull wing and where the panel sits. And that means that I can put that little like gear container here. So when I open it up, I've got enough room to kind of grab my stuff. Come off again. We basically just got two holes here to locate the nutsert, and that's drilled with I think it was a 3.5, and now we need to drill a 9.5 mil hole here and here, and then we'll put the nutserts in. And basically, because it's sitting on a less than ideal angle, if it was just the adhesive, I think it wouldn't have enough contact, so it'd end up, you know, sitting maybe something like that instead of sitting like that. So Kaon recommends using a stepped drill bit, and you need 9.5. I don't have 9.5. I don't know where, I'm sure Bunnings sells a 9.5. Mine steps down in every 2 mil, so 6, 8, 10, 12. So what I'll do is I'll go to the 8 and then just probably test fit the nutsert, and then just give it a little bit more until it fits perfectly. Okay, not even close, so we've got a bit more to go. So obviously not everyone has a nutsert tool, so what Kaon has done is they provide you with this bolt. This nut slides in like that, and then you just put the actual nutsert onto the end, and then you get your, not 10mm, you get your 13mm spanner on the end like that, and then that bolt has an Allen key head, so then basically you tighten it, and as you tighten it, you're tightening this, and it's pulling that nutsert down, and it's like crimping the nutsert. So what happens is when that's put into a hole like that, it's expanding on the other side, and that's basically how you insert a nutsert without a really expensive tool. Obviously it's a bit harder to turn because you're manually doing it, not using some sort of hydraulic tool. Right, so now that we've got these, where are they? These two holes here, we can put this bracket back on. So it's still got the adhesive on it, but that's fine. So one of the awesome things about the panels is that they come with a heap of accessories. Sorry, I shouldn't say they come with. They're available with a heap of accessories like this. So what this does is sits on the panel, something like that. And it basically, using these holes that they've included in the MOLLE or like mesh style, you can mount that on there, so you can have, you know, just a little basket for whatever you want really. If you've got a bit of a pantry setup, you could do all your spices and oil and sauces and things in that. You can just see the markings here that I'm going to want to cut on. So I want to keep the same styling, so I've marked all the way along there, and I'm just going to smooth it off there so that it's not too sharp of an angle. I'll do the same here. Now we'll measure this. So I now know this is the area we want to cut off, and then obviously for the other side we can just mirror the same thing. So that was obviously a pretty rough fit, but you can see that there's enough clearance here when that's fully down for this little doodah thing. I'm lost for words. For this little bracket, and then so on the other side you can see where it's hitting in there. That, and now that measurement is telling me the size of spacer that I need, and I'll need to minus the thickness of this panel to work out the spacer. So let's go 54, and then I'll minus the thickness of the panel itself. So what we've got here is two 30mm spacers, and then we've got a 53mm spacer there as well. So all the same internally, but just a different length to accommodate for the fact that the factory cargo barrier bracket is already in the way. So the first two bolts need to be a bit shorter, and then the third one longer. So another good thing is we can now see that there's enough room in there to allow for that. Plenty of room to allow for that to swing as it is. And just like that. 3 questionably finished spacers. Normally I would clean these up and probably fix the printer settings, but given they're just a functional print, it doesn't really matter too much. They're printed nice and strong. So the spacer is going to sit just in here between this factory mounting point. Well, I don't know why I'm surprised, but that actually worked very well. So you can see in here, I've got the 3 spacers. So it's a bit hard to see, but there's 1, 2, 3. And what that's done is it's put that panel back on an angle, so it's given enough room for this mechanism and this latch to be able to close. So you'll see once I close it, still plenty of room in here between that mechanism and this latch, as well as heaps of room, so I didn't need to chop that off, which is great. Happy with that. That's very sturdy. Now typically I would do this other side as well, but because I've got the oven mounted here and I want to be able to access the oven from the outside, I'm not going to do that panel just yet. This is one example of a MOLLE couch. I think it's PAL, either PAL's or MOLLE. This is a first aid kit from Survival First Aid. You can see that, which comes with the webbing on the back to be able to mount onto back panels, so anything with that universal MOLLE PAL size. So this gives you a bit of an idea of some things you can fit in there. You know, your travel soaps, your spray oil, Cedar Summit kitchen sink, travel pillow. It's obviously quite thin, but they do have two different sizes as well, so this fits perfectly in the thickness of the Jimny. And when I close it up, there's still enough room to have all those things in there, in what would otherwise have just been completely dead space that I couldn't use before. And then obviously you can kit out this entire side with the pouches, or I can even put thinner pouches on the other side of the webbing. So as I mentioned, overall stoked with the install. A little bit DIY. Did take me 2 days because I'm messing around doing different things, but it's fairly straightforward install if you weren't doing the 3D printed spaces and you know, accommodating a gull wing. But given most people aren't doing that, I don't think that's an issue at all. If you're interested in the MOLLE panels, I'll leave a link down below to the Kaon website, a bit of information about them. And there's other Kaon gear everywhere if you want to have a quick look. We've got the Kaon rooftop shelf, Kaon rear door table, the chopping board. But yeah, like I said, I pestered them for Jimny products. Must have been about 2 years ago now when I first got my Jimny. Kaon's really come through. They've got a heap of awesome Jimny products now. Thanks for all your support on this channel. Really appreciate you watching this video. Hope you got something out of it. Just know you won't have to do all that DIY work if you don't have the gull wing windows already. But thanks again. I'll catch you in the next video.